Hello and welcome to another ambient patch tutorial. I feel like I've made quite a few of these, so the next video it's going to be something completely different. And if you've got any ideas of what you'd like to see in particular, let me know in the comments. So this patch is actually really simple. There's only 2 sounds and 3 loopers. So you've got 2 wavetable VCOs, which are doing pads, and they're going into 2 of the loopers. Then there's a kind of ambient texture layer, which is going into the 3rd looper. And that's all it is. So this is the free version of the patch, which you can download. When I'm recording these, I normally stick in a few BST plugin effects, because why not? But I like to make these available for free as well. So this is roughly the version you can download. There's just a few extra modules there for recording my voice and stuff. So let's start with the kind of texture layer. I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. So I've got a sample player here, which is called Sicko Player, this module here. Just move that across a bit. And I've got a kind of field recording of, I think it's people kind of washing stuff. I think it's from the BBC Sound Archive. So if I just play a key in the keyboard, you can hear that there. So you can see I've got the volt per octave connected to the MIDI CV module. And I've also got the play input connected to the gate. And if I right click here, I've got this set to 8 channels of polyphony because we want to be able to play chords. By default, that's monophonic. So this can play up to 8 notes. The reason we're doing that is because we need a different kind of sample for each note in the chord. So if I play a few keys, you can hear that sounds a bit of a mess. And if you go down a few octaves, it's kind of getting crunchy and quite lo-fi, quite noisy. So what we're doing with that, we're going into this module here, which is called Annuli. And that's basically rings, which I'm sure you know of. It's on the default model, which is a modal resonator. And if I just connect the odd and the even outputs to this channel, so you can hear this. I'm using both outputs so I can get a kind of stereo. So you can hear that we've got kind of the texture of the field recording of the sample, but the pitch comes from the resonator. And then what we're doing with that next, that's going into a pair of VCAs. So you've got a different VCA for each stereo channel. That just gives it more of a pad kind of attack. And then obviously there's a ton of effects on it as well, because it sounds crap without effects. So this is on channel 4. And you can hear there's some effects on, that sounds quite nice. So what we've got next is we've got this module here, which is called Simpliciter. And that's just doing looping. So I've labeled these up. You can patch in a button if you want to trigger it. But I just click the button here. So if I press record on there, and then just play a few notes. I like to leave a bit of space sometimes so stuff's not coming in all the time, and then just play a few more notes. That's probably enough. Then if you hit record again, that's going to start playing back. Let's see what channel this is on. That's on channel 5, so if I unmute 5 as well, I'll turn that up a bit. So if we look at the controls on Simpliciter, I've got the vary speed control set to -0.5. And what that does, it means it's going to play backwards and also an octave down. You can use the octave control there as well, so you can move that down or adjust the taste. So I normally just leave that on 0 and then just put that to -0.5, and that gives us this kind of it's obviously going to be a lot lower and a kind of a backwards effect, which is quite nice. I think in the video I actually used a granular plugin as well, just for a bit of added texture, but I can't include that when I make it available to download. So that's one looping section running. And if we look at the next section, I'm just going to take that off solo for a second. So we've got a pair of wavetable VCOs here. I'll just get a new one so you can see what this sounds like on default. And now I can't find it because my camera's in the way. There we go. Let's move that back. So let's plug this in on a spare channel. I'll just bring that down a bit. And that's going to play a chord because we've got polyphony set to 8. So I was actually going to, when I started this patch, I was going to use the new Cloud Terrarium module, but obviously that's a paid module and people like free stuff, so I thought I'd try and find something that's a bit similar. And what we can do with this, it's got a unison mode, so by default that's just on one voice. If I turn that up to 8 is the maximum, I think. That's just a sine wave at the moment, so you can't hear that clearly. If I just morph it a bit, so you can hear the difference there. It's quite thin with one waveform. Then we stick it up to the max 8 and you just get a nice thicker sound. And then obviously there's quite a few waveforms here that you can choose, so I'm going to use generated and then ripple. And then what you want to do is just slowly morph some of these. So if I connect up this LFO here, that's on slow mode. And then you just click a button and choose which parameter you want to morph. Which parameter you want to modulate. So you can hear that changing really slowly there. There's a few other things in the right click menu. There's an oscillator drift as well. So if you turn that up, it's just going to make it go slightly out of tune. And then I think I change that to warm. Not sure that makes too much difference. And that's all it is basically. So I've got 2 of these. If we just listen to the outputs individually. So this is the first one. And then this is the second one. So they're quite similar actually, to be honest, but you can obviously mess around and get a bit more of a drastic change. And then what I've got next is this crossfade module here by Bog Audio. I'll just zoom in a bit more. And what we're doing here, if we just listen to the output from that one. So you can just mix it from A to B. I'll just turn that down a bit. So that's the second oscillator. And that's the first one. And then I'm actually modulating that polyphonically, so that each note you play is going to get a slightly different blend. And the way it works with these Bog Audio modules, you seem to have to put that all the way to the left or the right. But then if you send it bipolar modulation, so it's going positive and negative, it's going to do it in both directions. So that's again going into VCA and then a filter. I'm modulating the cutoff and the filter with another LFO and also from an ADSR, which has got a really slow attack and release. So if we just listen to that. And that's what it sounds like once it's going through the VCA and the filter. So again, if I just zoom up here, we've got 2 loopers. So if I just start one of these recording, and then we're just doing the same thing again, basically just recording a couple of notes. When I'm producing this patch, I'd probably do like a minute or 2 on there, but I don't want to make the video too long, so I'll stop that recording. And that's on channel 2, so if we have a listen to this now, I think that one's an octave down. So that's just looping round, and then you've got a second looper. And then if I unmute everything else, we can just play a few extra notes on top. And then because these are unsynchronized, you're not going to get the same parts kind of going against each other all the time. It's kind of constantly drifting. So you get this kind of random effect. So that's just the two loopers there, and then we can play, I'll drop this down an octave actually. And you just overlay some notes on top of the loops, and then you just let that play out for about 10 minutes and record it. So dead simple really. And yeah, that's all it is. So you can download this patch. Just out of interest, somebody asked me in the comments why I don't use a VCV reverb like Plateau. So if I just kill that for a second, and then if I've got a VST on here called Space Blender, which I got for free. I think you have to buy it now, so if you didn't get it when it's free, you've missed out. But if I just increase the send for that one, and you can hear the difference this makes. I think it's just a lot spacier than the VCV reverbs. So I have tried to kind of find a free module that will do the same thing as plugins like Supermassive and Space Blender, but I couldn't really get the same sound, to be honest. So if you're serious about this stuff, I would recommend buying the Host Effects module, and then you can just run some free plugins as well. And you can always use both as well, so I just bypass that. And then that just gives you an absolutely huge reverb. Just think it makes things sound a bit more kind of professional. But there you go, that's all there is to it. So let me know if you want to see a video on anything else. Hopefully next time I'm not doing ambient patch tutorials. Thanks for watching. Bye.